All right. You gonna monitor me? Okay. Hello, ate siya Richard DeCrane siya. Kintlchini bashichin gagden nsle. Ashi da shiche gagden snala. Kude at the nan shle. Aro le te yara is nasha. Kude at the nan shle. Hello everybody. Richard DeCrane here again. Here with the Youth Center. We're going to continue on our little talk and making of our little moccasins. That's left or right. But if you were with me last week, we started these little baby moccasins. We got so far, and I think your homework was to keep on beating and get to a point where we can put the sole together. Here's mine that I beaded. I'll turn it so the camera can see it okay. There you go. A little moccasin. And here's the sole we cut out last week that we're going to attach it to. And these are just a little bit little baby moccasins to practice on. You know, not like moccasins that you use during like powwow dancing and stuff. We're going to dance. If you wear them more often, every weekend, you know, you want to make up. You want to have the sole or the bottom part of the moccasin a little more durable, using latigo or a belt material, thicker belt material is best. And people, I know, even though people even put rubber material over the latigo, and so they make it extra durable. But no, these are just baby moccasins, so we're not going to get too intense or too into it. Like I said before, you can go online, YouTube, and there's a lot of people out there, you know, folks, other native folks, you know, even from where you probably come from. I'm just showing you kind of a plain style moccasin. You know, there's a few things I'm going to leave out. I'm not going to, normally, I don't know if everybody knows how to do moccasins yet or has done one before, but sometimes they'll put an extra piece of leather in between where you sew it and where you bring the sole together. So this would go in between here, and that's just the added protection for the string. But for a baby, you're not worried about that because they're not going out into public. They're not going to be walking around all over the floor, unless they are. And you can do this, and this will add added protection for the string, or the when we use the sinew. I got my sinew right here. It's a black sinew. I know people normally don't like to use or color black for too many things. You can use sinew. Is just this is actually synthetic sinew, I should say. I have a couple of different colors. I have a red, I have a blue, and I have this black. And I had a brown, but I don't know. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. Usually, normally I would use like a brown latigo. And yeah, so we're going to continue on. And two things you'll need to sew this on is some good Glover's needles. Like I was telling you last week, they're serrated on the sides towards the bottom. They're kind of like razor sharp on the sides. So if you grab this with your finger like this, you can cut yourself. So be careful with that. It's best to use a pair of pliers to do that. Like I said, since we're not using latigo for the moccasins, we don't have to prepare the sides for the moccasins with the punch. Usually there's a whole process. You have to kind of push through a pre-hole that you can go through, because it's really hard to push this needle through that latigo sole material. So normally I would be pushing that material with a awl first and making a pre-hole, and that's where I would sew it through. And all we're gonna do is do a whip stitch. You can say it, whip. Um, how's it sound, Thomas? Can you hear me okay? Just checking to see because I can't see the way I have it set up. I can't see comments. I can't see if the sound is going through. Um, so
yeah, you can hear.
So Thomas is monitoring for me, making. If you have any questions, put it in a comment, and Thomas will let me know. So now, and the way we sew these moccasins together is we sew them inside out, and so you got to figure out which one. What's is this? Because the line's going to go on the outside, so we know it's inside out, and the side that you don't want to show is going to be on the inside. On the outside, normally it would be the softer side, and like I said, this is the more rough skin side, and the softer side would be on the outside once you turn it inside out. Right now it's inside it, and there's a couple of different ways. I know there's a couple of different techniques out there that I've used too, and I've used glue to kind of hold things. So I could do whip stitch around. I would put tacky glue on the edges, and I would glue it together, and that works. Some people also put four pieces of, or they tie off 4 pieces of strings at the top and at the heel and on the sides. They would tie a piece of string so it would hold it all together, like that. And so the purpose of that is just to hold the moccasin and the sole, the top and the bottom together, so that it won't move around. Because it tends, when you start sewing it, it tends to move around, and the material that we use is kind of a little bit stretchy, and it'll move around. Even like if you can even stretch this leather, it becomes kind of stretchy if you pull it too much, and you don't want that. You want to kind of keep the same kind of tension all the way around, and you don't want it to pull too much to one side or pull to the other side. So the best way to do that, to avoid that, is to tie like 4 little sides up. But for me today, I'm going to show you another trick another Indian trick. Like I said, I like to use these little paper clips. They're just regular paper clips, so it's a little faster. So I'm going to probably start going this way, around this way to my left. So I'll do that, and so the bottom would come together also. And like I said, you can do it this way. It's just so your moccasin won't move around so much as you whip stitch it together. And like I said, it's good to do this. Like I said, you can use a string, just kind of tie it off, a little square knot, and that works just fine. Or you can do what I'm doing here and just attaching this little thing. That way you know exactly, so it won't move around so much on you as you sew it. And you probably need to kind of adjust it so it's not so bulky there. So there you go. And so it's nice, and it's fairly even, fairly close. And so that's how you would do it. And that's the inside out of the moccasin. And so all I did was put a piece of sinew together, and I've got my glover's needle. And so we're ready. And like I said, it doesn't matter which way you start, from the top or the bottom. For me, like I said, I got my pliers ready, and so I kind of just push it through. Just to get it started. Like I said, don't grab that. I already almost did my own thing. If you also can, if you want to, you can actually use a piece of leather to grab that. Some people will cut the tips of the glove off, so they can put it like a little glove on their finger, and they'll use that. I've seen that. Or use a thimble also. Hmm?
Um, John Verdugo says, where can I find these materials? Better still, can you post a link for the template? Thank you. We'll be doing Dreamcatchers too. Will you be doing Dreamcatchers too? And Deborah Kedra of Sweetcorn says, oh, Richard, I have a buck, buckskin bag that needs cleaning. Do you have any advice for that?
Um, as far as doing any other projects, normally I don't do dream catchers. Um, that's kind of a Lakota thing. Um, I know how to do them, but I usually don't do them. Just because it's from a different culture, but at the same time, there's other people that do that. I'll probably be doing another project. I think we're kind of taking a kind of a census or taking information. I think the clinic here that I work with at the youth center just sent out a survey of things, projects that you want us to do in the community. Like I'm not here by myself. I am the cultural educator here at the youth center via the American Indian Health Center. So I do a number of different things besides projects like this. I do a lot of other things, and so I think we sent out a survey. There was an email sent out to a lot of the participants that take part, and you have to sign up through the clinic and through the youth center to be able to get that survey and to give feedback so we can. It's mostly mainly for our community here in San Diego. It's to promote health, healing, and goodness in our community, so we can continue on through a holistic approach of keeping our traditional culture, our way of life, to work against or to battle it, to go against like drugs and alcohol, suicide, and it's a prevention. Culture is prevention. That's what all these projects are about. My talks are about prevention. Prevention of drug abuse, alcohol, also suicide and those type of things. All these things can be are preventable if through our culture, our traditional teachings, and that's what a lot of us believe. Holistically, through like holistically just means through spiritual, through teaching, through traditional teachings, through having a cleansing of the mind, body, and soul. And the short answer is there's that we're going to be doing. Actually, I'm not too sure. On Fridays, Mr. David does another craft thing on Friday. He might be doing dream temperatures. I'm not too sure. Usually, a lot of the things I do is more like beadwork or making dance regalia type stuff, or working with eagle feathers and things like that. I think David Castleberry is doing a lot of beadwork. Also, like more peyote stitch type of beadwork with necklaces, and I think he might. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it, but he might be doing that. So hopefully that answers your question. Hopefully you can give us some feedback if you got that survey, so we can continuing doing some good programming. Like I said, I'm not here by myself. I also work with quite a few different people. I work with Larry Edmonds, who's doing an art project for the kids. He's here on Monday, does live sessions about art. He's just covering the basics and going through stuff, and we offer supplies to the people that we service through the youth center. Also, we have the cooking show, which was an hour at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Um, Pacific time. You have Carolina that does a cooking segment. She talks about traditional cooking and just cooking in general, healthy. Like I said, healthy ways of living. And I do my part where I do a little bit of cultural teachings. Through craft, through talks, through motivational speaking, through different ways. And we also have Margie and Rob, who also work with the White Buffalo program. If you know what that is, it's a 12-step program of well-briety. Well-briety, it just means recovery from alcohol and drugs. They do their own little program, and they have their own people. Sometimes I'll be on their show or their show, their live event, but they have like a youth gathering. I know Margie was still doing a talking circle for the youth. I know there's a talking circle for the wellness and well-briety part of that program. There's also culture and cultural teaching stuff that they do, cultural stuff that they do also. And every now and then we also interview a lot of, I know Larry was interviewing quite a few people, traditional elders in our area here in San Diego. He went around and did interviews, and we asked them questions, or he asked them questions. I think that that they did a little bit of a survey to gather that information to get out to the public and to share knowledge and information. Like I said, he recently did one with Randy Edmonds, and Randy Edmonds was the founder of a lot of these programs, Indian programs in the urban areas here in LA, San Fran, and down here in San Diego. And Larry Edmonds was an integral part of that, and so were quite a few different people. I know we also interviewed Joe Renteria, who was also a veteran, as of myself. Did a good interview and talked to him about a few things, and he asked questions. Answered a few questions. If you ever had questions for him, he's over 100 years old now, 102, I believe. We had him on a live segment a while back, and you can watch all this stuff on the San Diego Indian Health page or Circle of Care page, and also the page itself, Indian Health San Diego. And like I said, all these programmings are free, on this Facebook page, and they're open to almost everybody. I know I have people not only here in San Diego, but across the nation tuning in. As far as the cedar bag, the interior of a cedar bag, it depends on if it's just dirty from the cedar, or dirty from being used so much. I think there's a couple different ways. You could just simply vacuum it, or go outside and cleanse it, cleanse the inside by just kind of tapping it out, and that's probably the best you could do as far as trying to get some of that cedar or whatever medicine is in there. It's best but no, I think you could probably clean your vacuum out before you do that. That way you can keep the dust and the medicine separate a little bit more cleanly if you clean your vacuum before you decide to do that. You can also, if you're trying to get the white color back a little bit, you can actually get this chalk material, and actually kind of clean it like that. I know there's you can get chalk balls, or these round pieces of chalk that will help you clean white pieces of buckskin, if that's what you're trying to do. To clean it, that's probably the only way. You can't really wash a medicine bag unless it's made of material or cloth material or something like that. Then maybe you can probably wash it. But if it's a hide, a buckskin, whatever kind of hide it is, it's probably not good to try to put it in water or wash it, because it'll get hard and moldy on you. The best thing is probably that chalk stuff, if that's what you want to do to kind of cleanse the whiteness of it, and that works pretty good. I've seen people also use like flour, or even like Ajax, but I don't know. I don't really recommend that Ajax or flour. I think that the chalk is probably your best bet. And so just kind of rubbing it works pretty good with that chalk material. I wish I don't have a chalk. I have one somewhere in my supply of stuff I could show you, but you can buy a lot of these materials. I buy at Dancing Bear Indian Trader here in San Diego. It's in North County, Escondido, You can buy all the supplies. That's where I get a lot of my supplies. I have a working relationship with them. I've been partnered with them for many years now. I helped them start that business, and we've been keeping it going. I know my friend Chris runs the Dancing Bear Indian Trader right now. You can usually talk to her daughter over if you call the store. And it's one word, Dancing Bear Indian Trader. I think we're gonna leave. I think my son already, put the link in the comments to get to them if you need to get to that. And a lot of this stuff I've gotten from there. I've also gone back home, and sometimes going back home, like to Montana. There's places that I go that it's a lot cheaper because up there it's more readable. I can't even say that. More, you can buy a place. There's more of it up there that you can get at a little cheaper price from there, or even in New Mexico, you can get this white buckskin there and some of this material. And so usually at a trading post or even a craft stores, a lot of the craft stores like Joann's or Michael's or even Hobby Lobby will have some of this stuff. They don't have any they have a kind of a poor selection usually, but they have a lot of this stuff. You could piece it together and find it. That's probably my only suggestion, I think. But at Dancing Bear Indian Trader, we have everything, and you can order everything online and pick up at the store if you're here local in San Diego or North County, Escondido. But yeah, so all material comes from that store. And while I'm talking, I'll be sewing this up. So anyway, we're continuing this on, and when you sew this up, you just want to kind of really stay. Like I just try to stay like a 16th. Try to make it a 16th every time. 16th over when I do this whip stitch. You can actually go a little wider. Like I said, if you end up gluing it a little bit and using the glue technique, you can go a little wider because the glue will kind of hold it, and like that. And a whip stitch, for you don't know what a whip stitch is, it's just a wrap around kind of a stitch that you can do. It's really simple. Anybody can do it. Like I said, but make sure you use the pliers. It really helps out on your fingers. Like I said, the end is serrated. So hopefully that answered your questions. Did I get all the questions? Did I answer all the questions, Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay.
It also said, can you post a link to the template for Moccasin?
The template, actually, I bought the template at Dancing Bear Indian Trader also. It's called the Missouri. I have the bag. Can you grab the bag? It's in my room in the corner. In that one bag with the Vans bag.
Okay.
It's in there. Yeah, that's that Missouri River. I'll show you again. Missouri River. Can't think of the name, but yeah, I have the outside part of it. But yeah, we sell that at Dancing Bear Indian Trader. I think there's a more updated version of that Missouri River, and that's been around for a long time. Just bring the whole bag, Thomas. I'll dig in it. And yeah, so that's what I do with the youth center. Usually, I work a lot more with the youth. I'm usually, like I said, because we're in this pandemic, I do a lot of my talks and my craft work. Right now, we're doing it online. Normally, I would be at the youth center working with the kids or whoever is there. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, so it's called the Missouri River Patterns. They actually make quite a few different patterns. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it's just it's probably backwards. It might be backwards, might not be. But it's called Missouri River patterns. You know, it was like $8. Plain style moccasins. Plain style. They have They have a couple of different styles. The plains styles of what we're doing. I know they have like a woodland one, and they have kind of a. I can't remember the other one. Other couple of ones they have, but they have a few. They have quite a selection. And so they're pretty good patterns to follow. Like I said, when I first started learning to make my own moccasins, that's what I used. And then I also, talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people, have their own style. And like I said, you can go online and see a lot of different ways that people put together their moccasins. And a lot of it is kind of what I've just showed you, a real quick overview of how to, how I do it. And I know there's a lot of different Indian health centers have their own programs. So if you're not local here in San Diego, look to your Indian health center. I know there's a lot of communities that have done just programs just like this, where they get the community involved in working with materials such as this, or cultural materials, cultural language, cultural events. A lot of times, I like to be part of a lot of different cultural events. Like wearing this shirt. We have a gathering, a celebration during Mother's Day every year. This is the 40th annual Balboa Park shirt. I've been a part of that, and it's a good time. Like I said, it's a community gathering of folks in the area. If you don't know this, here in San Diego, we are on Kumeyaay territory. So a lot of the Kumeyaay people that live in this local area will come out, and we have vendors, and usually it happens every Mother's Day in May. That's a good time. We have a lot of culture here in San Diego. If you're not very familiar, I know I have a lot of young Marines and young Navy people, military people that always have questions of where these events or whenever they go on. They always have questions about that. And usually we have flyers, but right now I think everything is still on hold as far as events, cultural events and stuff like that. So everything is virtual right now, which is good. We have to continue on. We can't just stop what we're doing just because we can't meet together anymore. I think a lot of people are having trouble with that. Not being able to go to events, even like the well-bridey people. I think that's one of the steps, is not to isolate yourself or keep away from other people. It's always was their part of their steps is to make friends and stuff like that, or get involved in the community. So idle hands, what the old saying is saying. But anyway, yeah, so this what I'm doing is can be done by quite a few. I know a couple years back I did this moccasin class actually at the youth center, and we had a lot of young kids, young families, military families that were there that I remember, and young kids that the parents needed a place to have the kids go. And at the youth center we have a lot of we have computers, we had tutors, we had people that if you need help with school and homework, we had those people there in place, and we still do. I think Carolina and Larry still help out the students with that, with their homework, or at least we try to, or we actually help them, point them in the right direction. I think. Yeah, so just talking about the good things that we do at the youth center. We also have a dance program that we have every I think we're going every other Thursday, called Soaring Eagles dance. We do a lot of plains or powwow dance, um, dancing, to promote, like I said, holistically approach a good culture through dancing, through song, through things like that, through powwow, and to making, being crafty, making our outfits. I know a lot of kids and a lot of families have really benefited or have benefited. And, I've seen, I witnessed, young kids, getting inspired, getting motivated, learning a new craft, and really learning about a culture. Sometimes it's not their culture, but they're still learning about a culture. And a lot of our cultures as Indian people, are a lot of our traditional teachings are almost the same. Our languages are quite different, but a lot of our traditional teachings are quite the same, compared to the Western society ways of thinking. I think, like I said, I am Navajo and I'm Crow, but at the same time, I'm not here to try to make you guys into Navajo, being Navajo or Crow or Upsalga or Dene. In my languages, that's what we would call each other, or in our languages, we are called the people. In both, my mom's side, which is Dene or Navajo, and my mom and my dad's side, which is Upsalga or Crow, we refer to ourselves as the people. And so, culture is very important. And like I said, if through culture, there's a lot of teachings and understandings of life itself. Through storytelling, I tell a lot of stories that are good, that you can get good teachings or learn good things out of them. I know right now, during different times of the year, we have different things that go on, different times of story time. Right now, I know as far as the Native people, we can tell the coyote stories now. We can tell our emergence into this world story. And so, but when we get into summer or spring and summer, the songs and the stories have to change, with the growing years. And I do my best to try to teach my own kids my language, the things that I know, the things that I can teach them at home. And all this is, like I said, it's a holistic approach to keep our communities, keep the kids in our communities, healthy, spiritually, mentally, and like I said, holistically. And I know we have doctors here at the health center. Right now I know I saw a couple of interviews. We had a couple of our elders were the first ones to get that COVID vaccination. I saw, and which is good. I'm really glad for them. I'm not quite an elder yet, so I'm not on that list, but I am on the list for getting that vaccination, because I have diabetes. I've been diagnosed to have diabetes, and so I'm on that list. I'm also a military veteran, so I'm also on that list. But I'm still debating on whether to do it or not, because I don't know. I know recently my mom, who also works at actually works at Window Rock in Arizona on Navajo reservation. She had to take the vaccination, and she's doing good. There was some real mild effects to her, and she's really a strong woman, and she works at the health center, and she had to get that to be able to keep on working. I know there's a few people that have to get that to keep on working in their communities, as far as health service people. But other than that, I think this program is mostly to help the community, stay home, stay safe, help them learn something new, traditional teachings, that will better help them. It has to do with a lot of health, healthy issues. And we have traditional teachings. There's been studies that show that traditional teachings whether it's storytelling, music, dance, have been really helpful in the healing of our people. I think a lot of times when we come to the urban communities, we tend to come kind of misplace it and kind of fall into what's called the rat race and learning and not taking care of oneself, which is very important. As Native people, we've always known that self-care was very important, and that's a lot of the talk that a lot of people are doing that are they're just now catching up that self-care is very important. Along with self-care, comes along with the community, caring for the community and having a healthy community as a whole of the Native community. I know we're going through a lot of things. Oh yeah, and I think Ethan is also doing another live where he's doing exercises. I can't remember. I have the calendar. We just got our calendar of events recently. If you haven't got that, like I said, you could sign up and get this. I know Larry emailed this to me and a few people, and we've got a whole agenda lined up. I think what's today, the 12th. Like I said, today we had Cooking Matters, and we also have the homework lounge if your kids need help. There's a set time from 3:30 to 5 p.m. for the kids to come and join via not Facebook, but via Zoom, to be, to able to get help with their homework and stuff. And of course, we got myself talking at 4 and talking about, the resources and crafts and, taking that holistic approach to, help us feel good, help us feel. Sorry, I was looking at the time, making sure. Sometimes I talk too much, talk way too much, and so like I said, if you get this thing, you'll see all the different events that we're doing. We're doing the VR or VGRR, which is the Talking Circle for the youth from 4 to 5 on Thursday. And then, like I said, we have resources and crafts that they're put together with the youth center, and then they give out to the kids. In fact, I have to drive down there to the youth center and pick up the crafts for my son. We do a lot of different crafts, not only native crafts, but just crafts in general, to keep the kids. If you have kids, you can pick up those crafts if you sign up. We have those crafts, weekly crafts that put together by Carolina and Larry and a few other people, and so you could get that. And then once you get the week last week craft week, last week, if you picked up your crafts, you're able to. On Friday, we got together and we did a craft with Carolina. I think she did it from 4 to 5. It's called Let's Be Crafty, and so she did that with the youth and the kids. And I know my son had a good time just learning another craft. It was I can't remember what it was called, but it was a good time. And so we have all these events, these little doings, get together that is happening at the youth center via the American Indian Health Center. So there's a lot of good things happening there. I just want everybody to be aware of that, to take advantage of that. I know, there's also that Title 6, Title 7 that is here, that also has another dance program that we usually that I'm also a part of. So whether it's good to take advantage of. There's a lot of different programs here in San Diego, even through SCARE. Sorry. There's quite a few different programs, intertribal, intertribal sports, Soaring Eagles, TANF, the Native TANF. That there's a lot of different programs that you can get involved. It's up to you to get involved. To get your family involved. I think a lot of my talks is also getting the families, family time to get together and do things with your family. that can that's safe, that's keeps you out of harm's way. I know I always get calls from my mom and my dad from back home. They're always watching the news. And this morning I got a call from my dad. Told me, asked me when's the last time I went to the zoo, and I was like, I can't even remember. I think it was like last year, last January. And we love the zoo and we love the wild animal park because we have a yearly pass. But this whole year we didn't even go because it's usually a lot of like a tourist trap. There's a lot of people that come and go there, and we didn't want to expose ourselves. And so we stayed away from there. And my dad was like, yeah, I guess they just found out the gorillas were got exposed to COVID, and now they have COVID. They're saying that someone was asymptomatic or something. I don't know. I don't want to start any rumors, but anyway, the gorillas at the San Diego Safari Park, have got the COVID. Poor things. That's kind of it's sad and it's scary at the same time. We're trying to get through this time, this epidemic, our pandemic, and we're just doing our part. Like I said, I'm just doing my part. Hopefully, with this, Moccasin making class, a lot of teachings can happen. Like I said, I've seen families, young kids, giving them something to do, making them responsible. Whether it's learning a story or learning how to dance, powwow dance, or learning how to make their different parts of their regalia, their dance outfits. It really helps out. I've seen kids learn, quite a few kids that have really benefited and actually learn the traditional powwow dancing, and then actually turned around and their family and told their family that they needed to learn their own culture, and so they turned around and learned their own culture. And now I've witnessed and I've seen them singing their own songs and learning their own culture and going to their own cultural events more than they did before, because they're inspired by what we did through some of the crafts and stories that they learn. And I think there's something going around on Facebook about what it is to be native, to have that native identity. Is actually identity. You can be native and not speak your language. You can be native and not be living back home, and you're still native. If you're not living on the reservation, if you're living off the reservation, if you don't not yet know how to speak your language fully or fluently, you're still native. You can't take that away from you. What's most important is that you represent good things about native and have a inspiration to learn more things about your culture, your way of life, your people's way of life, where they come from, who they are. All of us, even for me, I didn't come out the womb knowing my native culture. It had to be taught to me. A lot of our things have to be taught. Our language has to be taught. And we learn, like, fortunately for me, I was able to learn from my grandparents. My first language is actually Crow, and then I learned Navajo, and then I learned English. And in that way, you can't really tell anymore that I stumble on some uncertain words, but I still can think. And my way of thinking is more traditional. I always think, kind of in Navajo. That's how I kind of, my way of thinking comes out in Navajo a little bit more than it comes out in English. Oh, Karen's home. My wife just got home. And I think, just learning your culture is very important. Learning where you're from. Even just learning one word is very good, very helpful. I know I said a word to my daughter today, and she was like, "What?" She thought I was getting. I said, "Ha." That means in Dene, that means give it to me, or give me that. And she's like, she thought I was choking or something. And that's our language. Our languages are unique. I think a lot of linguists and native people know that our languages are verb based, they're action based, and so a lot of our languages are like I said, verb based. They teach action. They're set in action, and so that's just one word that I said to my daughter, and she didn't understand it. And I try to do things like that. As far as language, I do what I can with my kids, and my daughter and my son, and just learning one word is very helpful for them. We all live here in the urban area in San Diego, off the reservation. I grew up on the reservation. Had a lot of teachings. Fortunately, with my grandparents, I was brought up that way. But my kids, my grandparents have gone on, and so it's up to me, and it's up to myself and my wife to be able to teach them a little bit about their culture, so they can have something to teach their kids. As like I said, as Indian people, we're always thinking. You heard that saying, 7 generations ahead. That way of thinking, that way of taking care of ourselves, and that way of well-being is really good. It's a good way to be, and it's good for us. And so that's kind of my job, my title, kind of what I do here at the youth center. It's a lot, but not so much. But I really wish we could be back to where we were. I know we were planning some big things and camping events and some big gatherings and teachings that I wanted to do. Especially around the fireplace and camping and things that I know how to do. I know it's good to get away from the rat race, or get away from the city and relook. Take a big look at your life or the things that you're doing so far in life, and reflect on it. Traditional teachings, we have that through some of our teachings, like going to sweat, or going to things like the Sundance. Those are things that are kind of a teaching, a way to get away from this life and make you rethink. And that's always really important. Sometimes we get caught up in this world, in whatever we're doing, whether it's going to work or school, and we kind of forget what's important in life. Whether it's just to do self-care for oneself. We forget. Sometimes we get caught up in things that we do as far as going to work, and sometimes you can be able to, it's best, I used to be able to get away and go camping, and and that gave me kind of an outlook on the things that were important in life. Sometimes I get caught up when I used to go to work, and did nothing else. Now I'm more appreciative. I think a lot of us are more appreciative of our kids, and when they go to school and what they learn, and things like that. I think a lot of things, like an Indian way, another Native way of teaching is, what did we learn from this COVID? What do we learn right now to better our way of life? Continue on. 7 generations, as we think, that way of thinking is not just like both of my tribes think that way. 7 generations ahead. What are we going to leave for those kids? Whether it's the language, the teaching, craft, the teaching. What are they gonna get? And we always try to think that way and do things the best I can. And that I do this to give back to my community. I do this teaching of the Moccasin teaching to give back to my community. That way it makes me feel good. And that process of gifting and giving and receiving is a traditional way of thinking, traditional way of doing things, and it's very important. It's very good form of self-care that as Native people that know or have done for many years, over 500 years, we've practiced this way of life, of self-care, of taking care of our people, of our community. And that's what I enjoy doing. A lot of times you'll see me volunteering, or my family, my kids will volunteer our time and do things with the community, just to do things to make, because it makes us feel good and it makes the community feel good. The people that we share our culture with, sometimes we do like a dance performances, whether we're doing a dance performance over at the military bases, or just doing a dance performance for the elders, people that aren't able to dance. We do dance performances and show our way of life and sing our songs. I know my good friend Terry, we always get together and sing, and for the enjoyment of the people. We pick up the big drum and we sing every Thursday for the youth center, or for Soaring Eagles dance class, and I really enjoy that. I kind of missed it. I think next week is our next Soaring Eagles dance workshop class, the 21st. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. And so just continuing on with this moccasin. I did the whole side. It doesn't look very perfect. Kind of black. I think people don't like to use the color black. I would probably use a tan color, but I just did black so you could actually see it. Because usually I would just use the this material too, the Nymo that I tack down the beads with. I would use that, but today I just used black so everybody can see, and I tried to do it like a 16th. I didn't do a very exactly perfect job, probably because I was talking so much. But yeah, these are all the materials that you need. Like I said, if you watch a couple of the other lives, I kind of talked about the materials that you needed, or that you need for making moccasins. And like I said, there's a lot of different other ways of making moccasins, and other tribes have their own way, own protocols, own materials. So I would really look to wherever you're from. If you're tuning in from another place, another country, hey, away from San Diego, look local. Find those people, make that native connection, your local community. I know, living here in San Diego, I never knew how big, or how small, how big, the native community really was. I really felt isolated, I felt alone, because I came here when I was young, 18 or 17 actually, and joined the military, and my first duty station was here in San Diego at NES Miramar, when it was Top Gun. I know a lot of people get all excited when they say Top Gun. Back when it was Top Gun, but now it's a Marine base, and now I have my own little family, and it's important that I show them that there is a native community, that we're not alone. Like I said, we're not alone. If you ever feel that way, you feel like you're alone, like tune into something online, and there's something native, learn a new native craft, and it's really helpful. It's really helpful to learn a new craft, a new I'll try to fix this tie, add another piece here. But like I said, it's good to learn something new. And like I said, I just use these little paper clips. These things that come in handy all the time when I use them for many different things. It's like a little clamp. Normally I'm doing woodwork, and I love clamps. My son were laughing today about something that he wanted to know what I wanted for my birthday. It's coming up soon. My son wanted to know what I wanted for my birthday, and we were watching this guy talk about what would a woodworker want for his for Christmas or for his birthday or something like that. And it was kind of funny the way he was talking about clamps. And lo and behold, I have my own little clamp that I use all the time, like a wood. It's not a wood clamp, but I've used these for wood wood clamp purposes when I use veneer stuff. But anyway, that's another whole nother talk about woodworking. But yeah, my birthday's coming up, January 19th. Hey, someone wants to send me a present, go ahead. I won't stop you. But anyway, we were looking up. Son was looking online, and we watched this guy talk about the best um, present for a woodworker, and that was one of the top things. Is just clamps, any kind of clamps, and we were laughing. And I told him, when you were young, we were always thinking about naming you Clamp DeCrane. It was going to be my firstborn child's name. Just kidding. And then he says, we're going to name our dog. When we get a dog, he's going to be Clamp. So, anyway, just something. Funny conversations you have with your kids, now that we're home. And we went to the wood shop. Actually, we didn't even make it to the wood shop. We actually went to do a little yard work. We do yard work at my friend Chris's house, and we had a good time. My daughter, we did a lot of pruning and cutting and filling up the green cans. You know what that is? But yeah. So continuing on with our moccasins. You did one side, then you go from the middle and go to the other side, and still keeping these clamps in, which is really important. Like I said, this buckskin is kind of not, it's rubbery, or it'll move around. Like even just going through this, if you've been watching me, I almost stabbed my finger a few times, but it moves around, has a kind of a mind of its own. But if you can clamp it, and like I said, there's a couple of different techniques. If you're clamping it or gluing it first in place, which really helps. I've done that before when I've been in a rush. I put glue on it, and then later on, a few seconds later, I use that Tandy or tacky glue. You can buy that from Walmart, and it's fairly it's soft. If you can also use fabric glue, but you got to make sure you get the one that says sewable. That just just makes it soft and easier for you to to penetrate with this needle. Just makes it easier and softer. And that's like I said, another technique. And just now tuning them. Yeah, I didn't I didn't put the little sinew protector in there either for this baby moccasins, because it's just baby moccasins, baby infant, not even a toddler yet. These will probably just be infant moccasins, so they're not going to be running around unless you have a toddler or infant that already walks at an early age. Then maybe you want to use a different sole. And yes, this is very important to use the pliers instead of your hands. Because, I've been just doing this off camera here. But yeah, this pliers really works. It's good to get, I got these from, I think these there's this Husky. I got them from Lowe's. I think I got these from Lowe's. Maybe from Home Depot. Another woodworking tool that's good for craft. So yeah, as you go along, you'll kind of develop your own kind of technique in making moccasins. And there's a lot of good tutorials. I was looking online and on YouTube to see. There's a lot of different people, different tribes, and different Indian health centers that have done this kind of online tutorial class. It's very simple and a lot of fun. Good time. So if you missed any part of this, you can rewatch. I know we post the video afterwards. You can rewatch, rewind. Um, any of my talks or other people's talks. It's good to get your information to a variety of people than not just one person, and learn as much as you can. I've always learned that way. Even in our traditional, if you're learning a traditional story, learning your language, it's good to get a variety from different people. Even like our languages, on Navajo reservation, we live so far apart that we develop our own dialects. On one side of the mountain, we say something a little different, like coffee, ahwe, or we say ohwe, which is, it sounds almost the same, but a little bit kahwe. And that's one thing I can think of. Or even like the way the snow is, and its description of the snow. Zust or yust is another kind of a dialect, depending on where you're from up the mountain. Or from, like on the crow side, where we have the mountain crow and we have the river crow, and we have the Billings crow, and we have the Yellowstone. Just kidding. Yeah, and so we have our own, a little bit different dialects, but still the same. Almost, well, not quite the same meaning, just a different description. The same thing. And so it's good to get teachings from different people, because sometimes even our stories, there's parts of it that are missing or not told, and if you go and talk to different people about the same story, you'll get different pieces of information to put those pieces of information together, to make yourself a little bit more smarter, a little bit more, learn something new. And it's good to talk to our elders, not just talk to one elder, talk to many different elders. And like I said, when you talk to elders, talk to people that know things, it makes them feel good, like they're worth something, and teaching, continue on the traditional ways or traditional teachings, and it makes them feel good, makes you feel good because you're learning something. So, like I said, it's a reciprocal way of thinking. As Indian people, that's how we always think, or have always thought, reciprocal. So they would continue on. So if you have that type of mindset, that way of thinking, it's really good. It's very beneficial. It's really very, very good. Like every time, I still use the wax to wax even this sinew. I used it for my needles. I use it for the Naimo, and I also use it for the sinew, because basically all I did was, I didn't even show you how I did. The sinew usually comes kind of thick, and so I kind of split it. And once you split the sinew, you can split it a couple times. You can make it a little thinner, and that's what I did, to fit through the scrubber needle. And I did it like that, and it works pretty good. But usually you have to put these wax on again, and it just makes it, brings it back together so it doesn't fall apart or fray. And then you'll get that kind of protective waxy coat on your sinew. Which really is really helpful and makes the sinew last longer. So yeah, usually I'll put a knot. Sometimes I won't even put a knot. I'll just kind of burn the end. Down to the end. Usually I press it. That kind of helps it a little better. It won't stay so bulky. You don't want your baby's feet to get scraped. Here we go. And so, like I said, this is just to get everything, the moccasins together. And if this is your first time making moccasins, you know, it's good to gift, you know, maybe, you know, gift a family member, a friend these. And you know, it's best not to try to sell this. You know, usually that's my teaching that I've learned, is to gift the first thing that you learn, a craft that you learn, the item, give it away. You know, that makes you feel good, makes the person receiving it feel good. And you know, in that way, your next project, and then the next project you can sell if you want. Yeah, I know I've been talking a lot, and I do read the comments and stuff. And you know, if there's anything, any crafting ideas that you want me to go over or teach, you know, I'm always open to it. Usually I'll have to take it and talk to my boss about it and see if it's something that we can do or I can do. I said there's just sent out a survey of things that you want to happen, or programming that you want for us to do more of or less of, or new things that you want to learn. Let us know. You know, let me know in the comments, and so I can kind of relay that back to my boss. Maybe I can do. Maybe I'll even do dream catchers. Maybe. Hey. I think, I don't know, I had another person ask me also to, if I could show like doing feather work or working on feathers and stuff like that. Thinking about it, but we'll see. So yeah, almost done here. How much time we got? Oh, we're over 5. Okay, I'm gonna finish this last one and show you, because we're already 5 o'clock and over. But you can just kind of continue that process all the way until the end, and from here you can, once you get to the end, you can sew this up like this, and do the whip stitch again, and then come up, and then just continue that little thing. Some people like to do this bottom part first, put it together, and then they'll finish this part, and it's up to you. Once you get that all done, all you do is turn your moccasin inside out. And this is how we make adult moccasins too. We have to, even when we beat them, we turn them inside out to finish them off. So there's our baby moccasin. And of course I'll add a little string to the end. All it is just a longer piece. Put it through the, you can either clip a little part of it, or if you have one of these, you can make some little holes. I do a lot of leather work, or I work on my belts. Like I said, all of my dance outfits I work on, I learn how to make myself. So I have a lot of these tools, even leather making tools like this. So you can do this, which is a good way to do it, or also you can just use one of these awls and, you know, penetrate it, and then that works too, because once you use this awl and push it all the way through, the hole will actually get wider as you go further up this thing. And just, you know, doing that actually works just fine too. And then you would add this through, and you can, the way you kind of string that is you can cut the tip pretty good. Usually this is what I kind of do. I kind of cut it towards the end, and then I'll roll it and kind of stretch it a little bit, and roll it. That kind of makes a little tip. go through it. Sometimes you gotta do it right when you do it. This hole will kind of close up on you. And that's a way to do it too. There's the string on this side. Kind of the same thing. And so this is my moccasin. Something to do, you know, like I said, while we're being safe at home during these times. Like if you want, you can keep on going, and here's the moccasins. Perfect. Keep on going, and if you wanted to add more beadwork to it, like this one, you can. Or if you wanted to just, you know, be done with that, there's the little moccasin. It's all nice and done. You just gotta finish up the end. Like I said, you do the end part first, and then you finish doing the whip stitch around. For me, I think I went got a little carried away and kept beading even farther than the way the sole is, so I have to cut a little part of that off. But yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in today here, San Diego Indian Health Youth Center. Hopefully, you guys got something out of my talk, learned a new craft, learned some new Indian techniques. You know, my little clamps are really helpful and useful, and I use these things all the time on all different projects. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Any things that you might want to do, let us know. And yeah, you guys take care. You guys have a good day, good weekend if it's your weekend coming up, or good Wednesday. Richard DeCrane. Have a good day. Smudge, don't judge. Aho.